Hey there, in today's video I'm going to talk about the Kilkee Half Marathon and 10K in County Clare, Ireland. I'm making this video because I ran the Kilkee Half Marathon 2024 last weekend as part of my long run training for the Dingle Marathon 2024. I ran the half marathon, but there's also a 10K over the same course. And in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about Kilkee, then I'm going to go through the course. I drove around it and photographed it. Then I'm going to go through my race, a little bit about the 10K. And as always, this video might be long, so there are chapter markers down below, so you can skip on through to the bits you might be interested in. Let's get going. Kilkee is a small town in County Clare, about 3.5 hours from Dublin. It's on the west coast of Ireland. Dublin's on the east coast of Ireland. And it's a fairly typical seaside town with lots of seaside activities. And it's sometimes known as the Limerick Riviera, or part of the Limerick Riviera, because Kilrush and Kilkee are two towns not too far from the big city of Limerick that people would regularly holiday in. And like all seaside towns, it has amusements, has pubs, restaurants, and lots of sort of fairly typical seafront type activities that we would have done as kids. Go sit on the beach for a day, try and block the wind with wind blockers, and then eat sandy egg sandwiches. That's my recollection. There's always sand in your sandwiches. But there was a really lovely atmosphere in the town. Clare had won the All-Ireland hurling final the week before. People were in a great mood. There's a big top. So the running is a festival in what is a really lovely, compact town in a beautiful, sheltered sandy bay with cliffs either side on Ireland's wild Atlantic Way. I drove the entire course the day before the event, and I took the GoPro and made a video of it, which I'll play here in a minute. But essentially you go southwest out of Kilkee, and it's an out and back course. You start at more or less sea level, or 4 meters above sea level, and you rise up on your way out. I made a sort of course route on Map My Run, Under Armour's Map My Run. And the first thing you notice about the run is it's hilly. You start down at 4 meters in the center of Kilkee in the lovely sheltered bay, and then you run out, and essentially you run out for the first 4.43 kilometers. You're climbing up to 71 meters. You kind of go over a hill, and then at the 5 kilometers you turn around, go up, go back. For the rest of us, you continue on. You go down into a dip that's 17 meters, and that's at 8.44 kilometers. And then you go up onto this long straight plateau that I really did enjoy running on when I got there. And then you're at about 43 meters, and it waves up and down a little bit in a long straight line. You turn around, you go back to the same dip, 17 meters at 12.44 kilometers. And then you're rising up to the 71 meters at 16.45 meters. And after that, it's mostly downhill into Kilkee. One thing you notice immediately when you're there is it is very windy. The wind comes in off the sea, and I put some things, I looked at windy.com to check the wind beforehand, but it was really windy. I had planned to, and I did bring my drone, I planned to fly the drone, but it was just so windy that, yeah, even a helicopter might have struggled in the wind. We're now heading out of Kilkee. The start is on the right, and we're heading out of the town, and it's nice, and it's flat, and it's wide. And at this point in time, it's not very windy. You then start to gradually go uphill before you make a very sharp right-hand turn onto what is a relatively narrow road. And when you're on this particular road, what you notice is that there are people all across the width of the road. It's actually quite hard to make progress here unless you're at the front of the race. And then you just keep going on. Again, we're going uphill, and you're getting at edge of town, and the houses are thinning out. And again, there's a couple of people out walking, and yeah, it's very picturesque. And again, you always seem to be rising, and then slight dip and rising up out of Kilkee, and then the houses sort of disappear off, and the sea is to our right hand side, as is America a bit further away. But there's also quite a few unprotected cliffs, and if you're driving the course, take it fairly handy, because yeah, you're running or driving fairly close to cliff edges with not much else. There's a road to the left here, but we're always bearing to the right. And there's a car park that comes up, I think, on our right hand side. And on the day of the race, there are people in there playing Irish traditional music. They're there on the way out and they were there on the way back. And again, you're now out into the landscape. And at this point in time, I couldn't wait to get running this course. And even as I look at it now, I'm thinking, wow, that just looks looks so great. It is a really picturesque course. I often don't like out and back, but on this particular one I do, because you get a sort of different view as you come back. But at this point in time, we're at 4 kilometers, where again we're rising up. There are markings on the road. Actually, you can see the 5 kilometers is coming up fairly shortly, and you'll see some markings on the road. You go over another little dip or crest, and then I think we go over here around the bend, and there's the 5 kilometer turnaround point on the ground. We wander on a bit further on, and again it sees on the right hand side, and we're scooting along at a fairly rapid rate. I mean, I'm obviously not running or driving at speed. I've sped it up, and again the cliffs are just on the right hand side, and you're seeing straight ahead. On this is part of what's called Ireland's Wild Atlantic Way. I stopped here and took some pictures so that you'll see what you can see to the side. I took some pictures during the race, but it's not quite the same as just stopping and taking some pictures. And again, you can see the road, the unprotected cliffs, all that sort of stuff. And then I went off the road and down onto a sort of car park and took a picture looking back. Again, the race it runs along the brow there. But again, the cliffs are dangerous, so yeah. Be advised. The run itself isn't dangerous. You're well in, and so we start up again, and then we'll run out to the rest of the race. Again, we're still heading away from Kilkee. There's a couple of islands that are off the coast, and at this point in time, you've passed the highest elevation, but it rolls up and down, and then fairly soon we'll start going downhill at a reasonable pace. Again, we're going up again and round. And this is the part of the race I enjoyed the most, with the cattle up on the left. I think there's a farmer here, waves to me on the left hand side. Actually, people were very friendly. When I was making this drive, lots of people pulled over to let me by. I have to thank them all for that. And then you're kind of we're near the point where we're off the sea, and where the wind actually drops down a little bit, because we're now dropping down to that 17-meter point, and the road was going to zigzag around to the right. You'll see here the marshal is preparing the site for the following day. We swing around to the right, and then you run along here. It was about this point that the runners passed me in the race, the lead runners, and then you turn this corner, and then you pretty much go straight down what is effectively a bowreen. A bowher in Irish is road, and een usually means small, so a little road, and it's really only wide enough for one car. You'll see this person has stopped, and somebody flashes the lights for me to go on, and on I go. I actually really enjoyed this particular stretch of the run. This is the only piece of shade, these trees, on the entire run, if you're lucky enough to get a sunny day, which I did. And then we roll on out until pretty much you come to a T-junction with a main road. You spin around, and we're going to head back. We're going to spin pretty quickly around here and head on our way back. And again, in the race, as I was coming along here, there's an aid station or water station somewhere just beyond these trees, and I picked a bottle of water up on the way out, and then I dropped it back on the way back. And in the race itself, when I was at this point in time, you're going downhill, and it's feeling really nice. And at this point in time, I was checking my heart rate during the race, and I realized that I was really, my heart rate was higher than I'd expected, and it kept that way all the way till the end. But you come around here, and then you realize you're going to have to face the hills again. This is where you're down in your 17 meters dip, and you're rising up to 71, I think it is. And you turn around the corner here, the guy's still setting up. And I remember when I was coming up this road thinking, right, we're climbing, and then you realize you're going to come around to the sea. There's always wind. And you come around here and you think, right, that's going to be the crest of it. But no, you go around, and then there's more hill. And then you go up this hill, and you go around another hill, and yeah, it's essentially hills all the time until you get, and we'll see the 5K point, and it's just after the 5K return. And one of the things that's interesting about the race is Ireland road distances are measured in kilometers. They used to be miles, but now it's officially kilometers. But the half marathon race is measured in miles. and the 10K is measured in kilometers, which I found very strange until I actually got out and ran the race. And you realize it means you can have different signs for different people running the race without confusing them. So that was pretty handy to know. And again, we're rising up here, and again, you can see there's little pull-off areas where people pull off the road, and a couple of people out walking, and then we're going back across the Boreen. It was, at this point in time, you're looking forward to the end. You've seen the hills on the way out. You know that the finish is mostly downhill, and I was trying to control my heart rate. There's the 5K to go, and so I now, once you're at the 5K, you know the last little hill is pretty much the highest point on the course, and we'll be more or less going down all the time. And you know, as we drop down here again, I think the quarry is on the right hand side where there was another water station, and then we're going to go around again. And you can see here there can be large vehicles, and you know, you really need to keep your wits about you, because otherwise you go over the edge, it's adios muchacho. And on we go. And at this point in time, I'm really thinking about the finish, and I suppose anybody who's in is thinking of the finish. You know, you're mainly going to go downhill. There's a little kicker up to the houses that is coming up, and yeah, we'll get to that. And again, there's the horses and various things. That's where the people were playing their traditional music. You go right around, and we're now coming into the finish. There's a little uphill piece here, which is a sort of headland, and Kilkee is in one of the bays right ahead. And so we'll run around. And then the houses sort of, you know, you're on the back stretch here. And so downhill, I really should have been increasing my pace here, but I was trying to, my heart rate was quite high. I was trying to avoid that. And there's another little kicker up here. So it's mainly downhill, and then there's a little piece goes up here. And once you get to the brow here, it's downhill all the way into Kilkee. It's really lovely. And by the time you're at this point in time, there aren't many people in the race is very sparse. And then you're coming down here, here's the town of Kilkee ahead of you. We're swinging to the right, and then it's not very far to the finish line. I'm at this point in time, the finish line bears left. The road, you can bear left, but I bore to the right. And I'll show a picture which I took later on with the camera with the iPhone on the day of the thing. But we're going to swing around to left to where you can see the big top. And at this point in time, it's hammer time. It's time to really get going. And then so the finish swings around here to the left, and I'm driving to right, but this is the finish on the left. You can see how windy it is. This was taken on the morning of the race, and you can see how windy it is. And this is the finish line. I think the first gantry is the finish line, and I'm not sure what the second gantry is, but yeah, that's the finish line of the race. The race and accommodation in Kilkee sell out fast. There's a number of small hotels. I ended up staying in a B&B. I could only get it for the night before, but it was the Blue Tit Lodge. It was really great. I arrived in a beautiful evening. I wanted to get up early in the morning, so I wanted to have breakfast at 7, and Valeria, who was the hostess, it was no problem, and I wanted porridge, and again, that was no problem. I had a delicious bowl of porridge. My fellow diner, who was also running, he had a big full Irish, lots of bacon and eggs, and yeah, I didn't do any of that. But I woke up to a fairly typical Irish summer morning. It was raining, and I looked out and I thought, whew. But it soon cleared, and it was, it was going to clear because it was so windy. But the weather sort of cleared, and I checked out and drove into Kilkee for 8 o'clock. The race started at 9. Kilkee was great. There's lots of free parking. There's sort of paid parking at the edge of the town, I think. But inside of the town, it was really easy to get parking, which is really handy because I was filming and going back and forth to the car for various things. So that was really good. So thanks to Clare County Council for all of that. It was very exciting on the seafront. Yes, it was windy, but there's people running up and down. I did a little bit of a warm up on the beach. There was the usual toilet problems. There is a public toilet, again, thanks to Clare County Council, which I used the day before and was really clean and all that. And then there were porta potties, but I don't think there were enough, but I didn't need any of them. That was fine. And so I ran up and down and ran on the beach and kind of just amused myself. in the run up. They said to be there at 8:30, and of course I was there at 8. But I actually enjoyed seeing people here and there, and trying to count the bib numbers to see how many people in the race. There was numbers in over the thousands. Mine, I think, was 901. But essentially my plan was to treat it as an easy training day. I had COVID the week before the race, and it turned out loads of people had, because I heard people beside me talking about COVID, and I was talking to a woman during the race. We were running along together for a while, and it turned out she also got COVID the week before. So because of all that, I started at the back. I made a piece to camera beforehand, before the start. Okay, 10 minutes to the off. Turn around, look towards the start line. How do I think it's going to go? Well, I had COVID last week, so not the best. And my watch says I'll do it in an hour and 50. I think my personal best is an hour and 48 of recent years. I did it in an hour and 28 when I was younger. But yeah, I'm just trying to run this for fun. And yeah, if I could squeeze something out of the last sprint, I'd be happy. But yeah, excited for the off. It's very, very windy. And the rain thing will probably hold off. But you might get a few spatters of rain here and there, but it will be windy. So yeah, not ideal for a fast pace, but I'm just doing it for, well, I'm really looking forward to it. I enjoyed starting at the back and just meandering my way through, but it did have a couple of downsides. One was that you get stuck on the hill. So when you turned to the left, I think in the earlier video I said turning right, but when you turn to the left out of Kilkee, you can get stuck behind a lot of people who are just slowly going up the hill and realizing probably it's a bit more of a hill than they thought. There were pacers for 1 hour 45 and 2 hours, and after about a kilometre I caught the 2 hour pacers because I wanted to finish between them. And running behind pacers are great, but running behind them isn't that great. So I passed them by. The first couple of kilometres, I mean, I love hills. First couple of kilometres my GPS was bang on accurate, but after that it wasn't so much. But it was really lovely to see the beautiful views, and I took pictures during it. They're not all fantastic. It was easier with the GoPro the day before, but I got some basic pictures. I was carrying a camera on my head, and took some various pictures out along the way. The first, there was a toilet along at the first water station, which was at this quarry at about 4K, I think. But I could see a number of guys nipping off into the quarry rather than the standard porta potty, which, to be honest, made a lot more sense. And we rolled along, and it was really enjoyable. I sort of went, and then you could see the front runner passing with a motorcycle escort, and then the next runner, and down into the dip. And then that long straight stretch, I really did enjoy running that. But at that point, to be honest, I wasn't checking my watch in any sense at all. I was just running it. And then I started to look at I had a heart rate monitor, my Garmin. I started looking, and I was banging off the red line. I was thinking, no matter how, I mean, I didn't want to stop, but I did want to try and get the heart rate down, but it kept being at a high rate, which I was slightly concerned the week after COVID. I was fine training yesterday and everything, so it's all back to normal, but it did seem a little hard. I thought, or maybe I was just working hard. Maybe I was actually working hard, and I thought, no, it was very windy and it was very hilly. I did enjoy that one stretch of shade that we ran under these trees. I picked up a water. I had brought gels. I think I only used one gel in the end. I wasn't planning on most runs at that length that I'm just running for fun. I don't use many gels, but I took a gel, and then I got the water and I carried it back, dropped it back to the station. I'm going to say the same thing I say at every race. There's so much litter. Again, if the organizers had put a bin maybe 100 or 200 yards away from the where they give out the water, that might help, but people are just throwing it everywhere. It's not hard to carry an empty thing of water to the next station. Anyway, that's my rant over with. The kit I wore went really well. I wore my Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris. Funny enough, the paint wore off a bit here and there. Doesn't bother me in the slightest, but they did rub on the outside of my toes. It was very rubbed. I wore my Otso shorts that I reviewed, and they were fantastic. You can see them flapping in the wind at the end. I made a piece to camera on the beach at the end. It was very, very windy. I'll play a little bit where you can see or hear the sound just from the iPhone. Yeah. But it turned out that I wore a lav mic on my band top, and I wore an on running, I think it's called a zero cap. It was really fantastic. It was really great. I only got it recently. I didn't have any chafing issues, but I wore a DJI mic, lav mic, to connect it to a DJI. It's really light. It's really good for, and I was making notes to myself, making notes for this. But also when I wanted to make pieces to camera beforehand, that's how the sounds okay. I had a little DJI Action 2 on my head that I could turn on and off, and I was really practicing that because I want to do some in Kilkee Marathon, and I've got a bit of practicing to do. And yeah, I made a piece on the beach to camera at the end, and you can see just how windy it was. In terms of the number of people in the races, I counted bib numbers at the start, but when I looked at the it didn't dawn on me to look at results until Lyndon pointed out that apparently I was on the podium for my age group. But there was 839 finishers in the half marathon and 833 in the 10K, which followed afterwards. And when you got across the finish line, there was Snickers, formerly known as Marathon Bar, and Mars bars. There was sandwiches. There was plenty of food and plenty of water, and I was really surprised. I got this shirt, and it's really nice. Usually at the end of these things the shirts aren't great. This is really nice. There's no sponsors logo. There's a nice Run Kilkee logo on the back, and I got this very nice medal. So the medal is got a little spinning piece in it, which is it's based on the bandstand in Kilkee. It's really very nice. You get, I think that the 10K and the marathon, it's the same medal, but I think the this thing, which I haven't put on very well clearly, is this says half marathon on this one, but you can see it spins around here. I'll spin it around, but it's really nice. It's based on the bandstand. I mentioned the heart because I was trying to sort of run not all in zone 5, but my maximum heart rate was 193 beats per minute, and it was 175 average. It kind of basically started, went to the red zone, and that's the way it was. The stamina, I started at 99, got down to 1%. Now I wasn't really, this was not the plan, and the race I was 89% of the time was in my max heart rate zone. So yeah, what I wanted to do was take it easy and then hammer it at the end. Now I did hammer it at the end. That's something that I really enjoy running. When you're 61, there's not, there's not many PBs ahead, but being able to run quickly is something I enjoyed, and my average was 335 Garmin Watson, and I got to 727 at the end and peak, and I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed putting the pedal down. Should have started a bit earlier, but I actually enjoyed it immensely. Hammer time, guys. Hammer time. Hammer time, guys. Hammer time. The Garmin, funny enough, the GPS said it was 20.97 kilometers rather than the 21.2 or whatever. And then because I started at the back, there was net time and there was gross time or gun time and chip time. And in net time, I was 154.25, which was kind of somewhere between what I wanted to do. And gross time, I was 155.57 because I started way back. And it turned out that so net time, I think I was the fastest 60-year-old, but nothing to write home about because the best, Kevin O'Flynn, who was in the male 70s, he did it in 146.49. So chapeau to him and my friend Eamon, who ran with him. I really did enjoy the Kilkee half marathon, the whole thing. I would have liked to stay a night in Kilkee. If I was planning it again, I'd book a accommodation a bit earlier, but it really is a bucket list run. If you can handle wind and you can handle elevation, then it is absolutely magnificent. Well, as you can see, it's really windy here. The finish line is over there, and yeah, towards the end I was tired. Lots of hills, lots of wind. 3K out, all I could think of was, wouldn't it be so much nicer to be running with Chris Bailey? But yeah, towards the end, put the hammer down, and yeah, fantastic medal, and there's a fantastic shirt. Yeah, really nice. But a windy day. 10K is starting soon. Might film the start of that. The half marathon starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then the 10K starts at 12:30. That gives plenty of time for the runners to finish the half marathon, and then you can turn around and watch the start and indeed the finish of the 10K, which is what I did.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It was won by Jake O'Regan from the St. John's Athletic Club in 32 minutes and 20 seconds. He was flying. It was great to watch. He was wearing a pair of Alphafly 1s. Now, I have the same exact shoes, if only I had the same legs. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you'd hit the like button. As always, you've got stuff in the description below, and I'll happily answer any questions you put into comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there, and some other videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.